Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, the second episode, in fact, of ReZero D&D. I am your DM, and everybody else here, please introduce yourself once again. For the people at the top that don't know who we are, mayhaps, we are City Reverie, and here is some of our characters. You want to introduce yourself again? Get it back into the swing of things?
Sure, I'll start first. Go top to bottom of the.
Yep.
I'm Kyle. I'm Sofia Hestia. Most call me Tia, but you can call me.
I'm Connor. I'm playing Siegfried.
I'm Pat. I'm playing Librom Ursa.
And I'm Wolf. I'm playing Arlen Lykaios.
Lovely. Okay, great. Okay, so last we left off, this band of misfits and ne'er-do-wells, one might even say, managed to sort of finally find themselves together through misbegotten circumstances. Some of them more captured than others, at the old prison of an old and sort of destroyed keep of sorts. And in that basement, they were able to finally make their introductions, kidnapped by members of the Black Falcon, a mercenary group whom specialize in hunting for media. They are, they try to figure out their circumstances. They manage to free themselves of their shackles and have a little bit of a better night's rest than they did the previous 5 nights. And as we kind of make our way to morning, with a bit of a mysterious figure coming in to try to entice the host of party, pretty much just kind of figure out, try to beckon them to assist them in whatever cause they were championing. We kind of make our way back to the early morning sunlight. That being said, now this morning, what do you guys all want to do?
As soon as the sun crests over, I need to immediately turn to face it, kneel down, and start focusing and meditating all of my mana and trying to do whatever I can to re-summon my spirit, Brigid.
Yeah. As you're kind of sitting there, the rays of the morning sun kind of illuminating the sort of like, rundown pebbles and stuff like that, you kind of feel this sort of confluence of energy start to surge around you. There's the mana in the atmosphere is being sucked towards you, and you hear like a fluttering noise, like a bright sort of sound, as you hear a familiar hiss of the sound of a spear manifesting. As you do so, you see your companion, Brigid, looking sheepish and a little tired, kind of curled up in your palm.
Good. I was genuinely afraid I wasn't going to be able to do that again. Are you alright?
Yeah. Are you?
Mostly. I'm pretty stressed from that last encounter still.
Where the heck are we?
Wallachia, I think. Pretty far south. We're near the village of Ars.
Huh. And you're safe from those people?
I think there were 2 groups, is the issue, and I assumed they were the same one. The second group that did overwhelm me have collected everyone else who went through the same exact thing, and we're going to be figuring out what goes on from there.
I see. That sounds spooky, but I mean, if we have no other better thing to do, I don't want other people to be hunting us for the rest of our lives, I guess.
That was exactly my reasoning, yes.
Right. Okay, so what's the scenario? Like, what do we do now?
Oh, wake up the others, I assume.
The others, huh?
Yes, whatever we came in contact with. We didn't have a chance to talk for it, but something called the Observers possessed me for a moment, or brought me somewhere. I'm not really sure. I haven't studied whatever caused that to happen.
Well, you aren't much to study anyways, but, okay. That's strange and ominous sounding. We should figure this out.
Right, and this group, the Black Falcon, they seem to be our best bet to go forward with that.
Okay. Well, if you're sure, let's. Yeah, we should meet them then.
Before that, if you wouldn't mind, could you exhume some of the excess mana out of me?
Oh, yeah, you're looking a little rough. And she kind of, floats down to your gate. And for people who don't know what she looks like, can you describe her for the rest of everybody?
Yeah, let me get her proper description back up in front of me here. Let's see. She's about 1 foot tall, has sky blue hair and 4 blue-rimmed, semi-transparent wings, and kind of a purple/bluish-white dress to her person. Very lithe, very, very small and frail appearing. Yeah. This is still a work in progress.
Oh, that's really.
All right.
1d4 minus. Oh, you rolled it.
Yeah. Sorry, I rolled it wrong and then I rolled it right. Yeah. So she manages to sort of, you see, or you feel, I would say, you feel a lot of the lethargy left over from the battles days ago start to kind of surge from within you, and then start to it's almost like you're getting a massage almost, right? You feel your sort of like inner muscles start to be sort of like stretched, and you feel like there was like a spiritual knot in your shoulder, you know what I mean? It's that type of feeling. And slowly it gets ironed out, and you see she's kind of concentrating very heavily, and she has a few harsh hisses as she tries to get it all out. And once she finally does, she seems a little exhausted, and she kind of leans back a bit and says, okay, yeah, you had that inside of you for a little too long. Almost, that was almost a bit taxing on me.
I could feel it growing toxic. I think it's been almost a week. I'm not quite sure. I've been poisoned in the meantime.
Poisoned,
All right.
huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
You can just relax on my shoulder for the time then.
And she kind of floats up. All right. You can wake him up.
I'll go around the rest of the group, and after they've gotten enough rest, make sure everyone is up and at 'em for today. All right, all of you, on your feet. We gotta pack up. Make sure we're ready to keep going.
Is it morning already?
It's been morning for a couple hours. I let you get proper rest. Not everyone needs to be up at sunrise.
Thank you. What about food?
I'll make it.
Much obliged.
Oh. And not enough.
The dreams last night that you had, Arlen, were particularly you were particularly restless last night, just sort of nervous about the situation, and also feeling a bit humiliated from the night before.
It's too big.
As you guys all kind of wake up, you feel the sort of like crisp autumn air. Sort of, it's a bit chilly out, but nothing that you guys can't handle. The sun is sort of helping a bit more as you kind of wake up, but you greatly preferred your chances with the sleeping bag and stuff. For the first time in a while, you've had decent amenities while going to sleep for most of you. I mean, even you, Sophia, you were kind of in a cart trying to sleep on a plank of wood for a few days, and that's never enjoyable. That being said, you kind of rise and make food and breakfast, and not soon after, in fact, you guys are done. You see the familiar sight of your two stewards, both Marin and Calliope, sort of come down from their, it almost seems like they're kind of in like a loft, like comparatively, I would say, like compared to you. And though in reality, they're kind of just in this rundown sort of old lord's chamber, and they kind of are in this sort of ruined bedroom themselves.
Are they,
but they seem
on like an upper floor of one of the interior buildings of the keep?
Yeah, there's
or
like a
up in,
like a
the
one of
towers?
yeah, there's like a upper floor of the keep itself, right? You get the idea that there's sort of like some places that were meant for military, and some of them that was meant for the lord, like a house almost, right? Like a sectioned off from the rest of
Barracks.
the barracks and stuff like that. There was a place for the lord to sleep, and you get the idea that that's the sort of type of nepotism that counts might have, or not nepotism, but like sort of
Privilege.
station and privilege that a lot of these counts might enjoy, being able to, though they lead the army and stuff like that, or mayhap just own it, right? They get an entire place dedicated for themselves. They make their way down, and you see they're dressed. Calliope's hair's a little bit tousled, and she seems kind of, she yawns big and wide as she kind of comes down the stairs and says, "You lot, were you all goofing off last night?"
Yes.
No, there was no goofing off to be spoken of.
Okay. I just kind of woke up and you guys were making a big ruckus.
Was it
What's up
that
with
big
that,
of a
huh?
ruckus?
I stubbed my toe.
Oh, that's really painful.
Are they not acknowledging the fact that we've rearmed ourselves?
Marin, for his point, is kind of glancing about you all and sees, what your weapons are, and he kind of, he kind of adjusts his hat for a moment, his like felt hat that he has on his head, and he kind of places an arm on, I guess just your shoulder for a second, and just taps it, and he says, "Well, I guess I couldn't really stop you guys from doing this, huh? Either way, I mean, I don't necessarily mind. We're going to be moving in a moment anyways. We have to get into town. Better you guys be armed than not, I guess."
Typically, that is the case. Yes.
It's just, I was kind of more worried that you guys might slit our throats at night, but we were kind of, I mean, I was more reticent for that from Calliope. She, she just, she slept pretty good, aside from the time you guys woke her up.
Do you think I can slit a throat with this thing?
People are capable of all manners of things in the world, my friend. I don't doubt it. I don't put it past anybody.
When do we make our trip?
Why not? Are you guys fed?
Has the girl made food yet?
The girl made food. Oh, you're talking about us?
The one with the blindfold.
Yeah, we've already had breakfast.
Yeah, you already had your
Yeah, we
your
had breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we had breakfast.
Well, good. If that's the case, then we should probably head out early. I mean, the gate isn't going to get any easier to cross as the day goes long. I think it's probably best to try to make our way down there. We have the proper officiating papers. It's not hard to make your way into certain places in the Empire, but people distrust people who are foreign to them here, just because of the nature of conquest and competition. They are vigilant for that type of thing. You might understand, right?
I do.
I understand.
Good. Well, if you all understand, and it seems like you all do, I guess it's time to board the wagon. And you guys didn't even really recognize it at first, but Calliope kind of, she seems a little like she missed her cue a bit, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, follow me." And she beckons you all over to the sort of outskirts of the sort of keep, and up to that path, like up here, I guess, right? You're coming. Let me see, like over here, right?
Okay.
That path, she kind of leads you down a bit more, and you see she kind of mutters something under her breath, and then suddenly you see, as if it was like there the entire time, really, like a cart appear out of nowhere, and you see what used to be like an untilled road is now a bunch of like wagon tracks that weren't there before. It's almost as if it was like hidden from view.
Can I ask just how big is this wagon?
It's pretty big, yeah. I would
Like,
say,
would Librom fit in it?
yeah, he would.
Good.
You see, there's like a ground dragon or two, reined up, and you get the impression that sometime during the night there was a sort of rendezvous to feed these animals that you were not privy to. You guys probably were either asleep or you just couldn't see, right? And there's sort of like a little ground dragon noise as Calliope rubs one of their heads, and kind of turns to see you all, and the wagon itself is sort of this black canopy with this sort of silver insignia on it, and you know what it is. It's the same insignia that they're wearing somewhere, either as a patch or in their outfit or their jacket. It's the crest of the Black Falcon, their sort of group, and you get the idea that this seems to be they seem rather well off for those of you guys who weren't privy to that information beforehand. And as he's kind of showing you all, Marin kind of gestures to it cheekily and says, "Well, it's not much, but it looks pretty nice, right? It gets you where you want to go."
Not much? That just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it appeared out of nowhere, yeah, and it's pretty impressive, right?
I've seen bigger.
Look, I mean, Sophia, you already saw it. I'm not expecting you to be impressed by it. Let's make that clear.
But
What?
more extravagant.
Well, I'm sorry, we don't have the pomp and circumstance befitting of a carnival. I think it's pretty sleek, don't you think? He's
I
still
appreciate
looking
that
for
there's
some
no
more.
fragile parts to it. Genuinely, this seems very efficient.
Yeah, well, it is efficient, and this is what I've sort of traveled with, through all of Wallachia for the past couple years. It does get run down, but I always repair it the best I can. She's a bit of a beauty, ain't she? He has a sort of pride about either his own engineering or perhaps the fruits of his own like coin. You know, other people might have just done a good job on it, but he spent a lot of coin on it.
It
So-
would do for travel.
If I can ask, was that a spell concealing it, or is the black fabric made of like arcalb flesh, enabling it to camouflage?
You know, that's a very astute observation. No, it's magic, yeah, but it's not my magic; it's hers. Points to Calliope and says, "This lady's a bit of a well, you know, she's a bit of a freak with it. I would say, like, I've seen nobody use quite the spells that she does, and I think it's pretty imaginative what she's able to do." And Calliope kind of just looks like bored of the situation already, and she hops into the car and says, "Tell me when you stop yammering about it." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Sorry for trying to make our guests feel welcome. Let's just let's just head into city, why don't we?" And he kind of hops up onto the into the reins of the ground dragon cart, and he kind of gestures for you all to kind of get inside. Well, better to strike early than never.
Are they both at the on the reins seat, or did Calliope get in the back where we're gonna be sitting?
She got in the back, yeah.
Is there room for 5 of us behind here, or do one of us need to join you up there, Marin?
You see inside the cart, and it's rather expensive. I mean, I can't do the measurements off the top of my head that would make it make 100% sense, but imagine it's at least a head high in the cart, right? Like enough in which maybe 5 feet high, in terms of from bench to like top of the canopy of like that's covering the cart. And it seems like there's ample space for a lot of things. You see in the back, there's sort of this cache, right? This cachet, this sort of like crate that is sort of like, or trunk of sorts, that seems like it's, you know, latched very tight. It's made of this very sleek, like black wood. And you see like why he's so proud as you look at inside. There's a lot of like, you know, golden, like sewn, like gilding on the fabric, and you know, the benches are very smooth and like sanded down to like a very sheen polish. And it seems like it's almost lacquered, you know, like with some sort of like resin, to kind of treat it, to keep it from being like, keep it waterproof perhaps, or for some other reason. And you kind of get the idea that, yeah, people can fit in this, like a lot of people can, like maybe, let's say 9 people, 10 people.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Well, after all of you.
Fine, I guess I'll go in.
It is
And as
pretty
you guys kind of
spacious.
make space for yourself, you see Calliope's just sort of like, she has in her hands a book. Make a perception check, everybody. Bum, bum, bum.
And as a reminder for our newer players, if you roll below your passive perception, then just use your passive. Unless you have disadvantage for some reason.
Oops, I picked too many times.
So
Can I
12
have
for
my
Siegfried.
first roll?
Yeah, got it. So for Librom and Arlen, you kind of look at her kind of staring at this book, right? And you know something kind of strange. The book itself is upside down.
Girl, you do know your book is the wrong way around.
She kind of like startles a little bit, and she kind of looks up like very slowly and then looks back down at the book, and she kind of says, "Oh, well, this is a gift a friend got me, but I can't read anyways." And she kind of just tosses it towards Marin in the front, and he gets hit by a book, and he's like, "Ow! What was that about?"
I'm going to ask, I was under the assumption you were blind.
Yeah, Something like that.
Would you
I
like?
tried.
How long is our trip going to be, Marin?
Oh, it's not going to be more than an hour.
Can I pick up the book?
Yeah.
I pick up the book.
The book was sort of just next to Marin. He kind of knows you pick it up anyways. But the book itself is sort of, let me see, what would it be about? Making sure that's right. Yeah, it's about the study of the metal forest. That's what the title is in sort of this plain language. And you kind of open it up, and it's sort of like this index and glossary about like a lot of it's sort of like a bunch of pictures, luckily, right, for most people. So when you skim through it, you kind of get an idea. Like there's sort of like this idea, like the study of ecology, and like it shows a bunch of plants, and so it shows a bunch of like diagrams and like stuff of the earth, like the sort of geography of the area. And it seems like this is like a guide, like a field guide for like a place in the world, or maybe it's fictional. You can't really tell.
Can I see the title from my position?
Yeah, why not? Unless he's trying to hide it.
Nothing to hide.
I'm gonna move in the back of the cart and sit next to Librom then. You mind if I join you for a minute here?
Sure.
I just want to take some of the details in, try and just have some information ready, like skim through it alongside of him during the trip if nothing else comes up, prep for my survival skill.
Sure. Like make up, I mean, I guess just make a history check to see what you glean pretty quickly.
History or nature?
Yeah, you can do either, but they'll give you different information.
13 for history.
Okay, cool. You learn about the fact that there's this place in the very edge of the border of Lachia towards the place where the Hungering Shadow lies, where the Witch of Envy kind of covered half the world in shadow. That there's this place that birthed a bunch of people, like this sort of like jagged forest that became sort of like covered in metal due to like a war that happened, or like a battle that happened there. And you learn that a great earth spirit there was sort of extradited from their hallowed grounds, and they kind of cursed the warfaring there, and all of the people who died there, all the great engines of war and stuff like that, sort of were turned into this sort of like vicious like mockery of nature, and sort of it birthed like it spawned like people who are made of metal. It spawned people who kind of have like weapons integrated in their bodies, like a demi-human. And it pretty much, you can get the idea that it kind of is this very like desolate and blasted land, only fit for people who can sort of like it says it like people there are able to like eat metal, so that's the only way that they actually survive, because nothing grows there.
Okay. And this is Connor asking, not Siegfried, but
Yeah.
Is this the same metal folk as like one of the divine generals?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Yeah, but yes.
All right.
Can I quickly ask, can we actually see Siegfried's spirit?
She's probably hiding in my shirt. If we were alone back here, I would have.
She might be invisible right now, I'd say.
Right, just checking.
Like in the same like floaty spirit. I mean, you might be able to perceive it better than most people, Librom.
Maybe
you get the idea.
I
There's
don't think we gave her the ability to go invisible. She can start
Right.
glowing and stop glowing.
well,
but I think
you
that's
know what
the
I mean.
extent
She's
of it.
like in that semi-corporeal form that the spirits go in sometimes.
Yes.
And yeah, you probably get a sense that there's a spirit there. That being said, though, cute history lesson aside, it just seems sort of like a fun, or at least a book that's sort of informative, as it is sort of just you don't understand the point of it, you know.
Hmm.
Like there's no real connection between your situation in this book, as far as you can glean.
Now then, I shall close it and hand it back to Calliope.
It's an interesting read, though.
Actually, Miss Calliope, would you mind if I read through that? If I borrowed that for a couple of days?
Would I mind? No.
May I?
I mean, yeah.
Has something in the book caught your attention?
I'm a wanderer, a ranger type by trade usually. And sometimes situations happen that cause you need to live off the land for some time. It's helpful to learn about the different sorts of environments that are around. Lugunica is fairly stagnant in that manner until you get to the far eastern side.
Smart.
Yeah, and that sort of intuition, serves you well most of your time during your treks through the wilderness and stuff. As you guys kind of make your way along, it's a rather uneventful sort of travel, right? But as you're kind of approaching the city and you start seeing it like pretty, quickly, there's a lot of rolling hills, so it's kind of hard to make it out initially very well. But as you're kind of approaching, you see, the path sort of becomes, you're used to, all of you, you're used to, like, I would say, except for you, Fia, you're used to, like, roads being very unkempt and, like, sort of dirt, right? A lot of the roads in this area are very well paved and maintained. Like, there's, like, cobbles that are very uniformly carved into the earth, and, like, there's sort of, like, these small rails every once in a while that it's like small like rails on the side of the road that are
Like road
like
markers.
that are like markers almost, but also on these like rails are like sometimes hanging lanterns as if to light like the path during the night. And you've never seen like a maintained like road system this well developed in most of your lives, except for in cities. For you, Arlen, you might have seen that here or there, and it's pretty impressive. That being said, the sprawling green hills sort of give away a bit as you're approaching the town into this like hugely like rigid like cut in the ground, as if there's like this huge schism that happened, like an earthquake. And you see like, this sort of cleft that kind of makes its way to the city and like bisects it almost. And you see that like there's this sort of like, this immense city, like not the biggest any of you have ever seen if you've been at any of the capitals, but it's you guess that there's probably thousands of people that live here, and you see like a sort of a pentagonal sort of wall kind of filling the outskirts, and in the middle is a sort of circle, like a ring. And as you're approaching, you see that like the wall, this pentagonal wall that's made, is sort of breached in one area, and there's this sort of like very steady granite wall that's like now like starting to be repaired or rebuilt, and sort of there's like scaffolding here or there, and it looks like there's construction going on to repair the wall. And as you guys kind of approach, you
Is
see,
the broken wall the same wall that the chasm is going through to cut through the city?
yes, yeah, you see the sort of like very like a ravine almost, sort of like left in the city, but in that ravine you kind of see closer where there was like where there would be dirt, there's like almost like crystallized rock, as if something very hot or something very like a lot of like very tense friction created a lot of like molten metal or something like that. And you see like this sort of a lot of like crystals and geodes sort of naturally sort of building, like jaggedly like protruding from this sort of like cleft. And through that you see these very like stark black stones that are sort of scattered all about, as if that's like the remnant of the wall sort of just like just spewed out after it got destroyed.
How big is the chasm? Is it like a 5-foot thing that you can kind of peek into, or is this like a 20-30 foot wide or even bigger?
It's probably about, I would say like 20 foot deep, probably.
Deep or across?
I would say deep, 20 feet, across, let's say, like 20, like 30-ish, I would say.
So pretty big.
But you also get the feeling that like the initial cut, there's a very like clean cut down the middle that is like very uniform, but then you see there's a lot of like cracks in the earth that sort of make this like hole bigger, right?
So it
So,
does
like,
look like it was man-made, or at least power-made.
Right, there was like an energy or something, or like maybe you get the idea that some sort of force very deliberately made this, and it wasn't natural. So the walls of the city of ours fell in a war some very recent time ago. And contrasting with that, you see many sort of huts and hovels that house traders that are coming into the city. And it seems like commerce is actually really well and bustling. The city doesn't seem like it's in a downturn after whatever war they experienced. Rather, it seems like they've been struck with some decent fortune, considering how many wagons start to pollute the traffic of the area as you're going in. You guys stop for a while as you kind of make your way to the outskirts of the city, and as you guys do get closer and closer, you start seeing it a bit closer. Like, you start seeing a bit more readily the sight of these towering walls, right? You get the idea that a lot of cities in the area have sort of a bastion-like quality to them. Like all cities are fortified for defense, in some way or the other. This one's no different, and you kind of get better peaks of the sort of standing geography. There's sort of a lot of these like irrigated canals that are sort of filled with water, maybe naturally or otherwise, and they sort of lead like these rivers. Like, you noticed as you're approaching the area, there was almost no source of water. So like now you get the idea that maybe they built this city around the only source of water in the area, judging by all these canals that are sort of channeling a lot of water that kind of lead out of the city. You see like a small like gate that kind of pours out water on the other side of the pentagon that is the city gates and city walls. And as you're approaching the gate, you guys kind of have to balk and marvel at a sight kind of you're all unused to. A lot of soldiers in armor, foreign to all of you, besides you, Sophia, because you're from here, of course. and there's large banners that are sort of furled out at the, you know, the gates that are like black, and they have this golden symbol of a wolf with 3 swords piercing out of its skull, and you all kind of are aware that this is a symbol of the Empire of Vlachia. You guys make your way to the city of Ars, a land or a city newly touched by the reigning empire, and sort of rebuilt after its seeming fall.
Is Vincent the emperor right now?
Yes, he's recently crowned the emperor.
He did just win. All right.
Yes. And to that point, you're kind of seeing what looks to be, you know, I would say like almost festivities or like a festivity of like, you know, art of like your emperor Vincent Vlachia. You see like posters of him trying to give you like a face to the name, right? As a lot of like signage around the area, like a lot of like signposts. There's like this very like it's the same drawing every single time. It's almost as if they've printed this maybe as like propaganda, but also like sort of just as sort of people kind of getting to know the new ruler. The image of Vincent, sort of just sitting in the throne.
For our audience at home who might not have seen EX4 or read through Arc 7, do you want to give a brief description of Vincent in this image?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
For anyone who doesn't know what Vincent looks like, because they haven't gotten EX4 or Arc 7 yet, do you want to give a brief description of what this emperor looks like?
You see like a very dour looking like young man, right? He seems to be maybe like he's like, let's say 19, right? And he wears a very serious expression. He has this sort of, you know, slick black hair and this sort of ruffled like corvette or like what's it called, like cravat?
Corset?
Yeah. Like
Or
this
cravat,
sort of like
cravat,
cravat is what it's called. Yeah.
like Fred Jones.
Yeah. And he has this long, slick red jacket, that sort of like is like long coattails, and you know, white gloves, and sort of this like feathery, black like fur on his shoulder, that kind of is only at like one side of his shoulder. And he is sitting there rather imperiously, but he doesn't look like a warmonger by any stretch of the imagination. He looks rather youthful, but you know, from, you know, sort of everything that everyone knows about him, that he's very feared, and his campaign seems to have wrought a very like powerful image of him as he kind of sits there imperiously.
Hey, you 3 Valachians, right? Is this guy really that strong that he took over the strength-based empire on his own?
Sorry, who did you say that to? I didn't hear that.
I'm addressing Fia, Marin, and Calliope.
Right. Marin kind of like grins at you and says, yeah, well, it does seem that way, right? This man, Vincent, you know, he's a cunning one, is what I've heard. I'm not actually from here, so it's not like I've really been inundated with all the politics of the area. Not all of it. But I do know that he has quite the backing. And because of that, it seems like he absolutely decimated any claims that Vlachia was going to be a weak empire, or that it was ailing out of its strength. I think that was a great sort of I think he wanted to make a great statement about his power. And this place, ours, is one of those statements.
Are you telling me he made the cut in the ground? Damn.
No, no, not him. No, probably one of his dogs, one of the divine generals. I assume.
Divine General, huh?
It's a new thing that he's termed like a sort of a leader of the entire forces of the Vlachian army, but segmented in power. They're all the leader, but they all have sort of ranks amongst themselves. There's only, it's like I guess right now it's sort of like a captain, a co-captain, and a co-co-captain. There's not that many of them, but he says that he wants to add more. There's sort of like a candidacy going on about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. But apparently one of them was strong enough to do this, so maybe his virtue of trying to see if multiple people can lead the army might have its merits.
I've never had a problem with him myself. He's new, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, thus far, I mean, it seems like there's been nothing but more of the same in Vlachia. And it's not the bad type of same, I'd say.
More of the same can be a good thing. Sometimes a drastic change is for the worse.
Again, the thing is, right, with Vlachia, there was a lot of doubts for a very long time that after, some of the defeats and some of the, conspiracies that were going on, that it was just going to start to languish and sort of stagnate. Empires do that from time to time, or so I've heard. And the thing is, this was a bold new statement, a new direction from a young man, something new in the recent history of the Empire.
I'd say so.
It's always nice to have something new, a new direction, a new sort of image to kind of maintain. That's what they were hoping for here, and I think they exceeded, pretty well, I guess. I have nothing to say about, the warmongering nature of these people. It's sort of human nature, right?
I wouldn't know.
Exactly. You humans tend to fight over the littlest of things.
Exactly, right?
Well, if you could speak for others, though.
Well,
Says the one with eyes that can kill with a look.
That is a safety measure. That's called self-defense. Bjork. I just when I that's just one at a time.
you see Calliope look at you, Fia, and kind of cups her hand over your ear and says, "Are you trying to be scary?"
I am. Thank you.
Oh, you are trying, she says out loud.
I whisper back to her. I want them to know what I got. I don't do that until I do. I'm telling them.
And
Kill me.
And Calliope says, "Oh, you don't trust them? Well, that makes sense. I guess you're not expected to trust everybody after you just meet them. I think, I don't really trust them either." She says this all aloud, by the way.
Yeah, I was assuming.
And
Out loud.
and
Trying to whisper.
honestly, though, they didn't run away, which was a surprise, a big shock for me. I'm glad about that, because honestly, like, it'd be kind of boring if they did.
Would we even have stood a chance if we run away?
Oh, because the one that doesn't trust us could have just told them exactly where we went, and we would have been outed.
Well,
This is not a giggling matter. I said this is not a giggling matter.
I think it's
Mm.
outed me. All of you.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if this is a matter of trust, then I suppose we can start laying some cards out on the table. I've not been the most subtle about it, but I'm not exactly human either. The two options, aren't they?
What strand of demi-human are you then?
You might not believe me. I am a member of the Oni tribe. Or one of them.
Tribe?
I suppose not of the tribe anymore. The race, at least. But yes. For good reason. No, I'm not. There is a demon in the capital. A high-ranking knight, actually, called the Sword Demon. Hope to meet and learn from him one day. Believe we're the last two, though.
What?
I mean, I know it's going to be a long trip there, but that is one of the eventual goals.
A goal is a good thing to have.
Clappy looks taken by this for a moment, and she says, "Huh.
Well, thank you for sharing.
That makes sense."
I guess I should share if this asshole is sharing too. I'm a what you'd call a minor noble. My family had all the just reinstated, and it's just me and my brother trying to. Unfortunately, I do not know where my brother is right now, thanks to our lovely hosts. But yeah.
Side note, did you guys catch all that?
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah.
static to it, but we heard it all. I mean, that's unfortunate. I don't hear it when you're talking. It was only when Wolf was.
I had to try. Right.
I know what it is to lose a sibling. I'm sorry.
That's really touching. I gotta say that I don't know what it's like to be a sibling, but I do think that it's nice to care about people and stuff. I think you guys are interesting in that way. An Oni, huh? I don't really know too much about those people, but I've heard they're strong. We were kind of looking for one. Not really, but like, if there was any left, they'd make for interesting companions. And, we look, our Raish, I mean, he looks for interesting and unique people all around the world because it completes sort of like mysteries that he would not be able to complete otherwise. The reason why he assembled such an eclectic band of individuals and put them under one group is because he figured that it would help him complete a part of a larger puzzle, as it were. The directives of his masters. Where am I? Oh, hello. So I think that you guys, the idea is that like we're kind of happy that you guys were picked as the ones to, inherit these shards. And you see Marin's looking at her like curiously, like, what is she talking about? And like she continues though and says, "We're happy that you're the ones picked for these shards because I think that he was worried that they would just be more of the same. This is a rather exciting development, a development that's been going on for hundreds of years, lifetimes, more than any of us have ever experienced. It's all being turned into a confluence right now, and there's sort of a sort of like a faded, you know, like a reunion of sorts. And I'm glad you're all here in your own unique capacities because we will need you all for the journeys to come. Yeah.
I'm not happy to be here at all.
I'm kind of middling on it personally.
Dorothy didn't give you a choice?
Sorry. He had the ability to give me a choice to not come.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was out of the man.
I thought that Dorothy was talking. I mean, she said that you looked like you needed to get out of the house.
That's
She was worried. She was worried that you were going to like stay in the house forever and never leave.
and it would have been awesome until she come here in dirt, raise me out of dirt, and then put me
In-
back in it.
In dirt.
Dirt ground. Okay, it's not dirty now, but we slept on the ground last night. I haven't
You
done that
slept
in
on a mattress in a carriage.
Remember when you hit your head?
Oh, yeah. I'm a back. Okay, well, anyways, it's still, we're outside. Isn't proper for somebody who manages an ounce of attention.
Don't like outside.
I'll go to the curtains.
I think Dorothy
you're
may have had a
shouted.
point.
What do you mean?
Well,
Perfectly content running the as it. Now I'm on this.
look at Librom and myself. We're physically fit and healthy. Well, that can be fixed easily. I'm usually not that smelly. And then yourself are... Well, I genuinely don't know if you would be able to defeat a small child in an arm wrestling contest with how frail you seem.
I couldn't. I guess
I
if
think
not rely on me in battle. I was bluffing. None of you can tell. I am not magic is get injured, I could probably back in.
Somehow get
I wasn't sure until you confirmed it. I've learned long ago not to assume people's abilities based on their appearance.
I'll fill you nicely. Somebody in. I
Yeah, I mean, he's listening to you all, and he's kind of just like waiting. Like you see his arms crossed, and he's thinking for a moment. Like he has like a more serious expression on his face than usual, and he's like looking at all the traffic and all the cars stopped in front of him for a moment. But then you kind of hear like a very like low squawk, like fill the air, like crack, right? Like it feels like very much like it feels similar to a ground dragon, but then you start hearing like a beat, like a large thump, and you hear like multiple of them in synchronicity, and you see kind of from the opening of your cart, you see like these like large winged creatures that are just like flying in the air.
Do they look
And
like
you-
dragons?
They look like dragons, yeah. And you see that they're leaving from the city, and people in armor are like riding them at like very close, to like they're like, you know, almost like saddled into them, and it's probably the first time any of you have ever seen this.
dragons. Why?
oh,
They look tasty.
I don't want to.
I am very much excited.
Gold, did you disconnect from the game?
Did I?
Oh, there you
Ah.
go. Have I ever researched enough, like, into dragons at all for my own histories to know if this is something I should be getting erroneously angry about or ignore for the time being?
You probably wouldn't. Arlen, this seems foreign to you. I will let you decide how you're going to react to this because it's just you don't have all the information, I would say. Like you know this exists like vaguely, but like it's almost like the barbarians over in that other place, they eat children, that type of thing. And you're like, okay, that's not true. Them, they have dragons that fly, and you're like, what? That's come on, guys. But now you're kind of seeing that, oh, they actually do have dragons that fly.
Yes,
Would I be aware of dragons? And being a
Oh.
mercenary and all that?
Would you be aware of dragons?
And these are like sky dragons specifically, right?
Yeah, sky dragons, yeah.
Okay.
And you probably wouldn't be too aware of them. I think the thing is, right, the only time, or most of the only time, that people ride these is the military, right? I think you guys probably haven't had many interactions with the Vlachian military. For better, I would say.
Yeah, I would probably only. Of a different. Military.
I could probably black.
Yeah. And you like you give them a bit of the rundown, I guess. Like there's sort of people in Wallachia that are able to tame these sort of dragons that come from this area, and a lot of, like, as far as a lot of places in the border and the military and whatnot, like some of the great, like, keeps of the empire have like dragon rider divisions, and they're sort of like a normal unit in Vlachian military doctrine. A lot of people are expected to learn how to ride or fly on these sort of sky dragons, do aerial combat, and it is one of their most. It's one of the most like feared aspects of combating with the military for other nations.
Throughout your entire explanation, you will see Siegfried go from unbelievably enraged to just a little annoyed. I am now.
Talk about it.
I genuinely do not.
Come on.
And as you guys, pass a bit of the time, you guys make it to the portcullis, I should say, of the city. This sort of like large, sort of steel, place, kind of like a great kind of lifted at half mast, and you kind of hear a bit of the conversation that he has with one of the members there. It's this man, sort of little bit scruffy haired, like scruffy brown hair, in like armor. He doesn't wear a helmet, but like you get the idea this is like a higher ranking officer in the military, because a lot of the other people are wearing the same standard metal sort of like fatigues, like sort of like a very industrious sort of uniform armor that kind of covers their head in this sort of like swooping bucket, I would say, just like this large tin sort of head covering with like one like large slit that kind of goes up and down like an arrow on their face.
Like a great helm?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you go past a lot of these like cookouts and a lot of these places that are like waiting for like entry. You see like these carts that are like kind of bored, like waiting for them to get processed, either their goods or their whatever, to be confirmed not being smuggling anything that they don't want in, even though like the thing is things are laissez-faire, but you can tell that this place has more security than normal because a lot of the chatter that you heard sort of ambiently is people complaining about how like tight ass like a lot of the Ars military seems to be. And Marin kind of looks at the guy who's like inspecting his stuff and says, yeah, we're here from the directions of one Count Raish Elhag. The Lord has sent us to partake in the Skolem's opening ceremony and view upon the celestial scope. And the guy kind of looks down and thinks of the name and is like, Raish Elhag, and he's looking at the paper that Marin gives him. Well, it's not enough, really. The city's security is iron. People want to steal and use the information obtained by our city, and what better night to create a taunt? Your lord isn't assuring us enough. It's just some measly little count. And he clears his throat for a moment. We've also brought some goods. The bloodweave silk and golden nectar from Varance. A symbol of power and a symbol of unified strength from one count to another. My benefactor, our lord, wants to give a gift to the Viscount, his Sir Loren. And the man kind of hears this for a moment and says, you have golden nectar? Really? And he kind of looks amused by it. And he kind of like he looks back at like the trunk where you guys all are at, and he sees you all, and he like looks almost surprised for the first time as he's seeing all these like weird people, and he's like, and Calliope, for her point, like just gives him a little wave, and he's like, you didn't tell me you had so much cargo. And Marin's like, did I have to? These are my retinue, my fellow you merchants. We have to protect ourselves out on these roads, do we not? And he says, looks like you have a standing army back here, but yeah, sure, why not? All right, let me see. Get out, everybody. He kind of gestured for you all to leave so he can inspect the cart.
Are we good to go into the city then?
Yes, you have to pass the inspection, obviously. And then you guys can get into the city. There's sort of a process to this type of thing. We can't renege on it. And he kind of, if you guys all step out, he'll kind of go through the trunk. And if he does, as he lifts it up, he sees you kind of. By the way, Fia, you know of the bloodweave silks and golden nectar. They're from your city. The bloodweave silks are what Dorothy makes.
Yeah, they're expensive. Hell. Very hard.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the impression that that's why he perked up as soon as they're mentioned. Yep. And
I want to, if she mentions that they're super expensive, I want to try and keep my eye on the other groups you said were close to the gate that were either fighting for a reason to get in or looking for any other supplies or food for themselves. Like you said, there were other, like, not refugees, but people who couldn't get in close by, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to keep my eye on them.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. You see like a disparate band of what looks to be, they seem rather like working class, if that makes sense. They all look kind of raggedy. Their clothes seem a bit like, you know, unwell because of it's in disrepair because they haven't been able to buy new clothes. You got the idea that this group of people have been here for a while and they're in front of like a bonfire and they haven't been able to get in even though they need to for some reason. You get the idea that there's like a man that seems to just sort of relax by a cart. Like he's wearing like all black and like he has this like very like pointed beard. But he in his cart you see a rather distressing sight, I would say. Like in the back of his cart is a bunch of people kind of all shackled together. And he's just sort of like waiting rather disgruntledly. And you see sort of like what looks to be people with a bunch of like arms, like weapons, sort of like just sort of like piled up or like in racks in the back of their caravan. It's almost like, maybe a transfer of military arms from one city to another. Other than that, a lot of them seem to just kind of be annoyed. It doesn't seem like any of them are going to try to cut you off.
Just wanted to check on that.
I definitely thought. Oh, we're in a safer spot. But I know exactly what
the guy who's checking out your stuff, he opens one of the jars of the golden nectar and kind of dips his finger in it for a second, and tastes it, like almost when he thinks that you guys aren't looking, but like he's not being particularly sneaky about it. He has this sort of like smarmy, officiating look on his face, like he doesn't even care if he's caught. And then he's like, he seems rather pleased by the taste, judging by his face. And he clears his throat, and then he rounds the corner and pats Marin on the thigh and says, "No, I think you're all good to go. Just spare me a jar, why don't you?" And the Marin says, well, fine. That's 20 gold pieces off our load, but what is one to do, right?" And he kind of rummages through the trunk and says, "We have to be in here tonight, so I understand the gambit you're playing. I've haggled quite a bit in my life, and you're a real strong one, I would say." He kind of gives him a smirk. "Oh well, seems like good tidings for you, and I'll have a lovely day in the city."
when you stuck your finger in.
Oh sure, I made sure that was the one he took.
Okay, very good.
All right, everybody, hop back in. We're almost through. You see, as like you guys kind of get yourselves back in, you see these large, like these large lumbering figures, that are sort of like, I don't know, like 7 feet tall, like sort of like they seem 7 feet tall, but like very like wide and like very muscular. And they kind of all sort of yank this sort of chain. They have like almost like a hunch in their back, and they're 7 feet tall, I should say. And they sort of all kind of pull at the chains of the gate and kind of let you all pass through. And they have like rather sparse facial hair, but also like very long eyebrows. And as you guys make your way in, you see the entrance of the city, which isn't the most pleasant sight, if only for the amount of sort of noise that is going around. The sights that you have to take in, there's like a myriad different things that kind of capture your attention as you kind of make your way through. One of it is all of these canals that kind of run through the city. It almost looks like somebody wanted this to be like a waterfront city, almost like Bristol at one point.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Um, yeah. It very much does. However, contrastingly, it seems like it was completely mismanaged, if that makes any sense. Like,
Canals don't form proper streets and byways
Right.
and everything.
Mhm.
Okay.
it almost like through necessity rather than necessity, or perhaps some sort of issue with the way in which zoning works with like how they built the city. For better or worse, you see another ring of a wall somewhere deeper down, and you get the impression that this outskirts of this like wall is in a much more destitute state than the rest of the city might be, considering the fact that as you look out at the city, a lot of these hovels that are like belching sort of like smoke and stuff like that, um furnaces perhaps going, you see like very like shambling and decrepit sort of like either sheet metal that sort of makes these sort of shacks. You see like stone that is like old and moss covered. You see like it's rather like dense. Like a lot of these buildings are rather tight together. The only thing that really separates a lot of these like streets are like small bridges that cover very slight walkways. And under these bridges are like the canal. And as you kind of look down at the canal, you start noticing very immediately that instead of like the normal color of water, it's like colored almost like a green, like a teal. And it's like you get the idea that whatever the sewage system in here is, or like whatever they're using to clean the canals, just doesn't work. And like you get the idea of like a very stuffy, and it feels almost constricting as you kind of make your way through. You see various different people of various different creeds, but more so than that, you see like further out from the gate, you're starting to see popping up these like large like buildings, like warehouses, like these just like factories almost, that are just like reminiscent of industry,
Mm-hmm.
and in a way that you rarely see in the kingdom. There's a few cities that that kind of manufacture either media or stones or whatever, and they're all very intelligently sort of spaced and designed, and a lot of wealth is poured into them to keep the economy flowing. Here it seems like a lot of the industry in this area is very destitute. You get that impression immediately. The streets are quickly unclean, and you see a lot of people covered in fraying clothes kind of wandering the street.
The capital must be amazing, Arlen, if this reminds you of Pristella.
Oh,
I hear you. Yeah.
So yeah.
okay. I like the capital. A quiet take.
As you're looking about, guys, you get the distinct impression that a lot of the area is under reconstruction, or there was a fire here recently, or something. Judging by the fact that a lot of these buildings seem very quickly put together, as if like the front of wherever you just passed through, which was near that gash, right? You're on one side of the Pentagon wall, right, where you went through, and then to the left of it is where the gash kind of runs through, right?
Does this seem like it's just this part of the city, or like from a general lookout, does it seem to be sort of shantytown everywhere outside of the inner wall?
Make a perception check, I guess.
18.
Yeah, you get the impression that it's a little bit more disparate than just this area, but a lot of the cities like this.
War must have really taken its toll here. Marin, where are we headed exactly?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely not here. This is just the middle of nowhere. We're headed to meet an old friend, not even an old friend, a friend of mine. She's at the Splendor ward in the middle of the ring there. And once we meet her, we'll be able to talk about the events of tonight. Whether it's the ceremony of the opening of the school. You guys all have to get yourself ready in nice clothes, nice enough clothes, I should say. And to be done up a bit.
I wear no upper garments.
Well, you're going to have to, at least to
I have a
capitulate for a
question.
moment here.
Very
I do not wish to be distinguished.
have to be.
I will be clean. I
Can
just
ma-
shall not wear upper garments.
Yeah, Marin kind of presses his hands together and says, "Sorry, guys. For one night, can you make sure to look a little nice for me?"
I can. And
I will make sure my fur is shiny.
Dorothy's here. She may be able to whip up some clothes for those of you who will wear pants.
That's a good point.
I can assist. I know.
Should probably make haste to get there, though. We have some rather expensive things in the back, and I feel like a lot of people around here would be eager to get their hands on them.
Calliope looks shocked for a moment, and she's like, "Oh, good point."
Go for quite a bit. Seen them.
Stop saying that out loud.
Yeah, you get the distinct impression that people are kind of looking at you now.
I will just unsheath my sword and look out the wagon.
Yeah, as you do so, some of them kind of like, of course, there's the standing army of Lakia kind of near the gate, anyways. So they're very easily deterred as you kind of give them a threatening gesture. They don't look too scared. They just look kind of annoyed at the fact that they couldn't pounce on any opportunity.
Walked out. Realized we were not on the road. Didn't realize we were in danger.
We are on the road, it's just that we're in an area where modern day, I would say, roll up your windows.
Theo was also very checked out and unaware.
Yeah, as you guys kind of are sort of making your way down the street, as you guys are going like further into the city, you start seeing more of the coloration. Actually, you're starting to hearing like the buzz first of the city, and you hear like what sounds like, I don't know, like metal being like banged at a bunch, just like the sound of like sparks flying. You hear like people, you assume it's like welding almost. Like I can only compare that to the modern sense of that word, you know what I mean? Like you get the idea that like as you're passing through these like industrial areas, you hear the sounds of like things being like created. And as you're passing by like one of these canals, you start seeing that teal color in the water become even like brighter teal.
As in, like,
What-
a good brighter teal, or a...
It looks like sickly, like neon, like almost, right?
Okay.
Would I
Sort of check.
Yeah, sure. Nature, I would say.
Damn.
Okay. You, Arlen, you're focusing for a moment as you kind of see this sort of like teal sludge, and you get the distinct impression, and it's a rare impression for you, that there's sort of more going on here than just, you know, the fraughts and perils of society. Like, you look at this sludge and or like this sort of like teal sort of like goopy liquid, and you feel like there's something like magical here, and you know magic. You don't know the byproducts of magic, but almost like it stings the back of your nose as you kind of take a whiff of the air, and in it you kind of almost sense the same sort of like metallic tang that sometimes occurs when like mana is flowing through your body, and it being expelled, and you feel like through that, right, that like even though the water is just polluted by this sort of like magical essence, the spirits of earth in the area seem to completely have vanished. Like, you get the distinct impression that like the natural world is adverse to whatever is happening here, and to such an extent that there's like an absence, like a void that sort of is like filling the city of just complete and utter sort of, you know, inhumane sort of, you know, destruction, that's being like fueled by whatever is being created here. And even with like a nat 20, because you got a nat 20, I would say you feel a bit of the sludge almost like regret what it's doing.
What the fuck happened here?
Well, they're mining the city's natural resources, it looks like, and poisoning the water with the residue. Whatever they're doing doesn't seem great for the people.
More than that, literally onto nature.
Welcome to the world of man.
Indeed.
Would I be able to, like, investigate with my nose to see if I could pinpoint what sort of thing is in the river, or...
Yeah, sure, please. Give me an investigation check with advantage, I would say.
I have a disadvantage on, but you're here, let's go.
4.
A 4.
5.
Yes!
5. It's a 5.
5.
You have advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't know what it is, but as you kind of smell, you get this very acrid, sort of like acidic smell that sort of is nauseating to the point where like you kind of like, as you kind of like take like a very like big like breath of it, you kind of feel you're like you get like a headache almost.
Okay. Would that like affect me greatly, or is it a small headache, a big headache?
I'd say it's like a small headache. Like,
Ah.
you feel like if you stop like breathing it in so heavily, it'll go away pretty quickly. Or at least that's your hope. And as you're doing this, 5P's kind of like looking out at it a bit, and she's like, oh, yeah, this isn't good, is it?
Can you see it?
See what?
Oh,
water.
you're blind.
Right.
That's-
Yeah, of course. I mean, I sense it. Yeah.
Real quick question for you, Calliope. Have you ever been able to see, or is this like a thing from birth?
Oh, well, I see from the spirits. There's none here though. But but in its absence, I see the outline of what once was. That sludge, though, it's strange. It's not a spirit, but it's almost like one.
Perhaps some artificial spirit made by man.
A mob beast made by a witch.
Huh.
That's the way.
That's an astute observation, the both of you. I think you might be onto something.
Well, we have no way for knowing for sure. We should just put it behind us for now.
Hurry up. Just
Yeah, as you guys kind of like make your way towards the center of the city a bit more, you see what looks to be like you now start to understand what is being made. As you kind of look at one of the lots, you see what looks to be like, you know, like a cart of sorts, right? And attached to the cart, where there would be like ground dragons, there seems to be like, you know, like a metal sort of like a cylinder, right? And in the cylinder is like these like two jagged crystals sticking out of it. And as like if it moves, like there's these little like, I don't know, like appendages that come out of the bottom of it as if it's like dragging the cart along. And it looks like there's like these little metal like things that are like digging in the ground and sort of just like quickly like scurrying the cart along. And like you see like a bunch of people kind of just looking at it and like humming and hawing, and like a few of them look kind of like, you know, pale-eyed, right? Like there's a few of them that kind of look affected by the situation. But some of them kind of look like they're like observing them kind of like showing off this like, I don't know, like it's like a media, right? This like sort of magical device of sorts, and that they strap to the front of this cart, and they seem rather like pleased by the results.
Definitely not vibing with this place. Let's genuinely hurry up to wherever we're meeting.
Mhm.
yes.
Agreed.
Let's hurry up.
As you guys get to the center of the city, you have a similar experience as you did with the first one, but this time with even more sweet talking. Instead of honey, though, it's honeyed words, and you see Calliope kind of trying her best to flirt with the guard at the gate. It's very quickly evident that, oh yeah, well, this is the Splendor ward. What would work in the front of the gate is probably just like money, like coin. At this part of the gate, you need charisma to really get your way through. And she seems to charm him pretty easily. Just by like a few like, you know, I would say like subtle innuendos. And she kind of makes you guys, you know, like eventually there was like a bit of a hold up, but then you guys make your way through. And as you guys kind of enter the new rung of the city, it looks rather beautiful, honestly. Like it, I'll kind of take you to it. Let's see if this is the right map. Yeah. No problem.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. As you guys make your way through, you see what used to be a bunch of metal sheet work and stuff like that quickly replace itself with a lot of like sleekly carved wood and well like marbled stone. And you kind of see what looks to be like the canals that once lined the street are now completely clear, as you kind of see at the bottom there.
Right.
Like, and completely clean. And you see a lot of these like tents that seem to be like what looks to be like a marketplace or something. And all over the place there seems to be like these really like well carved sleek like homes and stuff like that. and some of them even have like names, like they're like shops, or like, some of them are like you know like event, like places where you might host like a show, or like, where somebody might go to, like there's a brothel there, there's like a bathhouse, there's like, a place to drink, like there's bars everywhere. And you see like all these sort of like smooth like silks and ribbons, and like all of them sort of in various colors that are like almost brighter than a lot of colors that you guys have seen in your life, just sort of like, draped about the place. And you see the like, almost like in a contrast, like the black banner of Lakia just sort of like almost interspersed with them every once in a while. But like, you get the impression that this place is where the affluent go, and it is indeed very gorgeous. Like just a second ago, you stepped into from like a city that's completely like caked with, sewage and dust and stuff like that. But now that you're in the center of the city, you start seeing why people would even want to go here in the first place.
I can see where all those merchants' money are heading to, at the least. And the water here is not as vile as I was afraid. I thought that the barrel of water I forgot back at the camp was going to become a necessity, but it seems that we should be fine. Where are we staying, Marin?
Yeah, so we're staying at a friend's place. She's one of the courtesans here. It's called the Thirsty Countess. It's actually like it's actually a place that you kind of have to stay in certain. You guys have to stay upstairs. You can't go anywhere else. But I'd say it is a very lovely establishment, one run by a very lovely woman.
That sounds better than being okay with that.
It's where we meet when we go here. You'll understand the reason in but a moment, really. A really good friend here.
Is it a brothel?
It's in lesser words, yes, it is. But I hope you wouldn't acquire for any of its services. We have a job to do, and besides, I don't think I would. I don't think you'd be able to afford what they have going on there. No offense.
I'll be honest, Librom, I don't know how you could not possibly take offense from that.
I'm gonna be honest. It actually cut out there for a second. I'm not sure what was said.
She said, "You don't do it. We're on a job," and he also said that you look too broke to afford anything there.
Don't buy an open.
I do not plan to.
Either way, it's not quite a long ways from here. We just need to hitch up the dragons, and we should be good. And he does so pretty expeditiously. There's a stables pretty close towards the gate, and you guys all get off, and you guys all stretch your legs for a moment, and you see what looks to be like a lot of people in very like fine clothing, like you see like furs and like sleek, like silks, and like jackets that are kind of embroidered with like patterns and stuff like that, well sewn together stuff, wearing like hats that are like well made, and eyeglasses and stuff like that that'd be almost impossible for most people to afford. And as you kind of make your way down through the streets, you guys stick out a little bit like a sore thumb. But as they see Marin kind of lead you all, they kind of understand the entire vibe. they get like, oh, these are his servants. Oh, that makes sense, right? And as they kind of make your way to the Thirsty Countess, you see what looks to be like a very well carven wooden structure, 2 floors up, very like wide. You get like idea of that. You see in the middle of it like a courtyard with like a bunch of like shrubbery, and like a fountain in the middle, and then you see what looks to be like a path leading to the entrance, and it looks very affluent and very very nice. Like you feel the smell of what seems to be like blooming flowers fill your nostrils, and as you enter, the scent is even better, really. There seems to be like perfumes and aromatics being kind of diffused in the air. Actually, it smells heavenly in here. Like it just like there's soaps and like all this different stuff. Like there's almost no cleaner place that you've been in. And as you kind of enter, you see what looks to be like a woman kind of sitting bored at the desk because it's daytime, right? Like it's very early morning, and she's like drinking tea, but like you immediately see that she's, very beautiful and standoutish. She has this sort of like hair that gleams like platinum. She has like this sort of swooping hair that covers one eye, and a bright blue eye that you kind of is not covered by her hair. She has like what seems to be like gold, like 1 second. Oh my God. All right, sorry about that.
Just
Anyway.
out of curiosity, would the smells in here affect me since I'd have a bit more of a sensitive nose?
Make a, what would this be? Charisma saving throw? Yeah.
Constitution usually if it's bothering them. Like,
Oh, if it's bothering? Oh, yeah. I guess if it'd probably bother you more than it would.
Okay,
Yeah, make
Constitution,
a Constitution.
So this is the one that you would use in the little box there that says saving
Yeah.
throws, Pat. Okay.
Jeez, I did it 3 times.
But you're good. You're good. In fact, you can enjoy the smell, even though it's so strong. It's very lovely.
It's very lovely. Might it be too lovely for me?
Yeah, a little bit. And you see this girl with sort of like she has this platinum blonde like swooping hair, and like her hair has like these like golden like, she has like this two-tone hair where like the back of her hair is like, like one side is like platinum and then one is gold, and she has like this beautiful black dress that seems to be like what she might wear when she woke up. Like she woke up is like this semi-transparent like silk like gown of sorts that sort of shows off sort of like it's like semi-transparent, so you can like see that she's like like wearing like the sort of like flowering adorned lingerie. She has this like bow that sort of is like wrapped around her waist and like pulled tight. And she has this like single beauty mark just below her eye, and she is like wearing like black lipstick and like has like black painted nails. And as she kind of sees you at first, she seems kind of bothered almost. But then as Marin enters frame, she immediately perks up and is like, "Oh, Marin! Such a lovely time to see you. I knew you were coming, but so early. Great. Introduce me to all of your friends." And he's like, Well, I'm not sure they're really my friends, but
Making a lot of assumptions there.
yeah, exactly. But you guys, why don't you introduce yourself to my good friend? Everybody, this is Connolly. She's the courtesan here.
Is it Connolly?
Connolly, yeah.
Hello, Con. I'm Hestia. Let me
Sofia Hestia, it's lovely to meet you, dear.
Yeah, you too.
She has like a very like you get the idea very quickly that like her excitement and energy is so like practiced to a point where like as she makes eye contact with all of you, it's so bright and so vibrant that like you feel immediately welcome to her establishment. Like she has this genuine interest as she bounces her head to one to another.
I am
And what about
Librom
you?
Ursa. I am Librom Ursa. It is a pleasure to be here.
Wow, well, it is a pleasure to meet you, sir. You look big and handsome.
Thank you.
Oh, what about you? And he points to you, Arlen, the young one.
Oh, miss.
And what are you doing so far from wherever you're from? I can tell by your disposition that you're new here. Is there anything I can do to help you make you feel more at home?
Arlen's gonna.
Well, if you're sure, but I'll always be here if you need anything to ask for me. Our establishment hosts, a lovely array of food and amenities. I'm good for making sure that everyone here can have a lovely time. I mean, I'm a lovely hostess. What about you, sir? Looks at you, Siegfried.
Siegfried. Pleasure. And I turned to Marin as I say this, I was under the impression we weren't allowed to ask for anything here.
And he shrugs his shoulder and says, well, it's one thing if she asks you to ask for something. It's one thing if you presume that you're gonna get something.
We're going to need a lot of bathwater upstairs.
Sure, sure, okay. I mean, that's easily enough arranged. All right. Nice to meet you all. You're all members of the Black Falcon now, is that right?
No.
Oh.
Oh. And you see Calliope, she kind of like floats over to Connolly, and she kind of stares at her for a second and says, they're not, really part of the Black Falcon. They're like guess
We're contractors.
contract. Yeah. We didn't make you sign a contract though.
We are
And
here
you-
against our will.
All right, well, that's going to cause problems.
Connolly's like, you're here against your wills? Oh, that's interesting, but that's fine. I'm not really all upset by that. In fact, do you guys get vanquished in battle or some sort?
My mistress sent me out of the house. Died apparently.
Your mistress. Oh, okay.
Dorothy. I have no.
Oh, yes, I do, Miss Dorothy. She makes lovely dresses.
Guys, I'm her maid. This best friends. And I wish she gave me more context to this journey. And I also.
Lord Raish. Look, I think, you know what? Pardon me for being rude, I just can't help but notice. Why are you wearing that blindfold?
Ah, I had and it's just very. They made me this very nice veil that covers my eyes. It makes me a little mysterious. It's really just covering lightly. I'm not blind. I can see you. I keep it.
Apologies. I really am. Look, that's rude of me for asking.
Oh, it's the first thing
Um,
you see. There's really no avoiding. Does not bother.
I know
It
better.
makes me all the time.
I truly
Okay.
know better, and I wouldn't wish to impose on anybody's injuries.
Uh,
Everybody's scars tell a tale, as they say.
don't need to. Okay. It's a
Of
question mark.
course.
And you're the first person to really ask about it on this trip. Not a bad thing.
Right. Are you demi-human, perhaps?
Perhaps? Yes.
Cyclopean?
No. Part of their tribe. Yeah, definitely human. How close?
Oh, well, I'm one
Close?
of... Sorry, excuse me? What was that?
Sorry, my mistress and the master.
Oh, yes. Well, me and Dorothy, we talk quite a bunch. For dresses and all that stuff. She designed a lot of mine. Um, to be frank, I... The co-leader of the Black Falcons, my brother.
Oh, okay. So far apart.
No, I'm not a part of it. No, heavens no. I run this humble establishment. I just happen to, my brother happens to, know all these folk, and they're lovely folk, most of them, assumedly. Um, though to be fair, you probably haven't met all of them, nor have garnered enough relationship with all of them if you're strangers or have been, otherwise taken under their charge. Marin's kind of looking bored and says, "Yes, that's the case. And honestly, um, they probably don't know too much about us, and I feel regretful about it, just slightly. But maybe they'll have to learn a bit more if we're going to trust them fully. We have to. The situation is interesting. It's more interesting than I explained to you in that letter. Tonight at the ceremony, we're hoping to get a missive.
I think Thea will finally reveal what she is. Now that she's had so much questioning and stuff. Know that she's trying to support in some way. So that's cool.
I mean, if it's cool, it's totally cool with you. If you want to do it, I'll let you do it.
Okay, well, I'll do it. Yeah, gets like kind of answer all the questions. Okay, well, I have been a secret, but it seems like we'll all be working together. You seem nice, and if Dorothy makes you dresses, that probably means she trusts you. So, and as long as you keep Aaron away from, that's a key. But so actually, I cover my eyes, so hours. I think I'm forbidden to talk about them, but as long as you don't look at the eyes, I don't uncover any information. Which is why I wear an extra. I also don't want to look into your life unless it's absolutely necessary. I'm requested to Dorothy or Flash. I also like getting only person I have not got permission from. Sorry, Sig. When that elf was fighting you, I looked. I didn't say much more than like from when you were born till like just under a year, so I didn't get too intrusive. Make sure what you were.
Oh.
Apologies. I only know
Okay.
that.
So quickly, 3 different reactions occur at the same time. From the various NPCs around you, right? Everything goes deathly still as you explain your situation.
Fuck.
You feel like the atmosphere is sort of sucked out of the room
Oh no!
as they're kind of
no!
having like a very jovial conversation. As soon as you reveal that you're from the Evil Eye tribe, you see Marin and Calliope's face. Like Calliope, for her part, completely looks simply shocked. Like she just makes like a little noise like through her teeth, like, and like you see Marin for his part, like he tries to stifle his reaction as his like eyebrows twitch a bit as he looks at you, and then he kind of like puts a like a palm on the top of his head and like scratches it for a moment. But like and he's looking not at you now, but at Connolly, and Connolly for her part, she looks like you stabbed her. Like she looks completely and utterly like she just saw a ghost.
Can I rewind
And
that? Can I undo that?
no.
RBD.
Yeah, there's no return by death here, right?
I thought they were trusting.
No, don't worry about it. This was right. All right, this was okay.
It's canon regardless.
Yeah. And in that reaction, right, like you don't really get. Okay, well, first you understand the surprise, right, from the 2 companions that you were traveling with. They were just simply like shocked, but also like a dawning realization of like what's going on with like your situation. Like Marin and Calliope, for make an insight check on the type of reaction that Connolly's giving you.
Can any of us get an insight off of that?
Yeah, sure, everybody can, because you're all seeing this. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, yours pretty good.
Oh no.
You guys
Jesus.
have no clue what this even means, 1, and also 2, you guys just met these people, so you don't really get the intricacies of their reaction, right? But for you, Fia, this is an issue that concerns expressly you, so you can understand a bit of the nuances behind the situation. Connolly, for her part, you know, she is very jovial, but like underneath, right, cracks a bit of a demeanor of somebody who is very like, well trained. Like you see like what seems to be like a memory like clicking in her head of like somebody that she used to be and somebody that she is now, and she's like thinking about the situation, but like what just happened makes literally no sense to her, so like she's like knocked off of her feet, so like her personality becomes like darker almost for a second, like her expression, like her brows kind of furrow, and like her very pretty like even face, like jovial expression, like just like completely looks sidewinded almost, like as if somebody kind of like took the rug off under your feet, right? And she just like she quickly does that expression, right? Like expression change almost. And then she just takes like a deep breath for a moment, and she just tries to like calm herself down, and she smiles at you again and says, Oh, ye- that's interesting.
Uh, my one request is mine, and nobody else hears. The other people who know about this are Dorothy, Lord Rash, and he shouldn't have sent me outside. I'm just saying, I don't stop talking. I'm surprised I kept it this long. I don't know.
Look, it's nothing bad, dear. I'm just surprised, is all. Because she looks almost relieved for a second as she kind of reaches forward and puts a hand on your shoulder and says, and kind of crouches a bit because she's pretty tall. You kind of now see she's like 6 feet tall almost. Yeah, and the idea is that like as she crouches down to kind of reach your eye level, she like makes a very like, she has a very sympathetic expression on her face, and she says, "It's all right to hide and try to survive. Um, People are scary and they hurt people for a myriad of different reasons. I think you know that more than most. You have to be careful, honestly, as you say stuff like this. Careful for the rest of your life. And I'm worried for you, but I'm also relieved. I'm relieved. I genuinely am relieved.
Why is
But,
that?
well, because we all thought, I mean, everybody knows that the Evil Eye tribe was almost wiped out, right?
Yeah, it was. Oh, I lost
Yeah,
everything.
it was really brutal. And, you know, I think that type of thing is always a shame. The conflict in this world is a constant. And I enjoy, reprieve. And I try my best to make sure that everybody has their own reprieve in my establishment, no matter who they are. So you needn't worry. I'm just a little shocked for what this means. Because, it's like, for me, I just assumed that you were all dead. You know?
Reaction. What?
And what it means to have your power, it, you see Calliope and like Marin are kind of now like hushedly whispering to each other. And honestly, with an 18 perception, inside, I mean, actually, perception would be different. So make a perception check, sure. You hear them whispering, and you hear the words. I mean, you pretty much hear their entire like exchange. But it's like, Calliope says, "Hey, remember the Evil Eye tribe? That's really good, isn't it?" And Morel, Marin, for his point, is like, "Yes, I mean, of course it is. Fate really is real, isn't it? She's a stargazer. I know it." And Calliope's like, yeah, probably right. I mean, that must be the case. If she's a stargazer, then, well, this makes us all a lot more easy." And you hear Marin quickly be like, "Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this later with everyone else."
So, Miss Connolly, do we have a room to share or individual ones upstairs?
Well, funny. I mean, breaking the tension there a little bit, right? Um, to be honest, nobody else. I mean, most people stay the night and then vacate in the morning. Um, I will say, um, there's quite a bit open now at time. Um, if you wish to stay here only for a little while, I mean, you have a studium's opening to happen tonight that you all have to prepare for. Do you not?
We do, yes.
We'll make sure you're all prepped and dressed. That was what Marin wanted, right? And Marin kind of nods his head. Yeah, I mean, yes, I do want that. And, I mean, to be honest, I think the rest of the Black Falcon are coming as well. The rest of them, she seems actually kind of shocked at that. And Marin's like, well, now I'm ultra glad that that's the case. And she kind of pats you on the shoulder, Fia. Honestly, I wonder what you three are for.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
like to find out?
I wonder the same thing.
I mean, I don't mean that in a derisive way. I mean for fate. Why would fate touch you all? It
There
means
is
that
no
you all
such
have a
thing as
different
fate.
device to play in this sort of scheme. I guess we'll figure out in due time. Things aren't revealed to you immediately. Just like a mystery novel. Have you guys read that before?
No.
No.
Well, I think it's something that some of you might like. A kid, Arlen, was it? Do you read books on your spare time?
Not much.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, to be honest, like if you want to, I mean, I have a collection. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, the school probably has a large collection of books that you can look into. If any of you are heavy readers.
Yes, I am.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad that works out. In the meanwhile, do you have any spare clothes from some of your... It sounds like he was about to say something like crass, and then he kind of corrects himself and says, employees. And she's like, yes, well, I believe I do. I'm not really sure of any of their sizes, but I'm sure Dorothy, if she comes, can fashion something quick for all of them.
That's what I was thinking too. Urgent?
Yes, she always does seem to inspire the type of gifts.
Oh, I actually.
Mhm. Oh. Really? Well, thank you. This dress, this nightgown, it truly is something that I do feel nice and light in.
Very good at.
That's for sure. She kind of picks at her face a little bit, just like sort of like scratches it nonchalantly. At noon, all of them are supposed to arrive. That is very soon. If you all wish to talk quickly amongst yourselves, that is fine, but I don't think you're able to take a bath or anything in the meanwhile. I think you'll have to wait until they all show up.
How unfortunate. I still smell some piss on myself.
Can we get a bucket?
It will do no good.
You
I
guys
need to
don't
soak.
smell any piss. I'll be honest, because everything smells so amazing in here.
Okay.
Yeah. And it honestly smells so amazing. I mean, as like she's speaking, like, you know, you kind of feel like lost in the atmosphere again. Like for a moment there with like the reveal that Sophia did, you're kind of like worried that it was going to turn something sour, but like everything just seems like very, you know, well to do and back to normal. And she kind of like stretches for a moment and says, "If you'll excuse me, I have to powder my nose." And she kind of um, takes her leave to the back, one of the back rooms. You see like a few courtesans like poking their head out, various demi-humans. Like you see like a shorter one that's sort of just like, you know, maybe 4 feet tall, kind of just like what looks like a dwarf, like a female dwarf. And she's like, she has like curly like um orange hair, and she like looks curious about like what's going on, and she's like, "I'll explain in just a second." It seems like she's kind of like pressed by the situation just a little bit as she exhales, but she kind of goes to the background a bit.
Okay, I thought I was gonna have to cut that woman's head off for a moment there.
What?
Hi.
You hear Calliope kind of chuckle to herself very like softly, and says, "Oh, you wouldn't be able to do that if you tried, dear."
There. So I'm even.
I was jumped by assassins before this other member attacked me. It took more
Is
than
the
one.
whore strong?
Apparently.
And Marin for his point says, "Yeah, that whore is strong. She's one of my best friend's sisters. And he's one of the most fierce fighters I know. Noble to a fault too."
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there a problem? I simply named her profession.
That's oh, the myth.
Yeah, she calls herself Lady Courtesan. Is usually the title that everyone refers to her to, because she's the lady of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Sig, yesterday. So. Yeah.
Calliope, for her point, kind of like holds up a hand for a second and then just like walks out the front door for a moment. You hear her starting to talk, and you get the impression that she's communicating to somebody through some sort of, or perhaps maybe a stuffed animal that Dorothy provided.
Oh, she's gonna tell on me.
Yeah. You get the impression very like quickly as Marin kind of like lounges about, as he like hops up on one of the stools near the like there's a front desk for the brothel, and like there's like like the stools kind of just peered about, and you get the idea that this place gets pretty busy considering the fact that there's like a window that kind of like separates the front desk from like the from like, but it's like a beautiful window. It's like almost like you know, tempered glass that has like a lot of different like patterns swirling
So
in it.
he's trying to peek into the showroom.
No,
through
he's
that
just
window?
he's kind of lounging about. He's like he seems like rather like comfortable now, and he almost feels like he has like a look that he's like relieved, and he smells the air a bit, and he's like he breathes out, and seems rather satisfied, and says, "You know, I wouldn't have expected that. Isn't the first place your mind goes to? The people who were last of their kind, Oni, now Evil Eye Tribe. It's interesting. Your affinity with spirits. I wonder what you're up to, boyo. I think you'll figure that out in time too. That's just how it goes. This sort of thing." I've seen this happen once before, not in the same way, no. But the missives that come from the stars, they manifest themselves in interesting ways.
You? But I've
Yep. And I think you're going to be one of the recipients of that mail.
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna get a mail, some mail, for like a nice letter from a distinguished visitor.
it is better not.
Right.
That's fine. I heard what you said. I haven't forgotten about that.
I was
What
assuming
about?
he meant a suit of armor.
Oh yes. Oh, that is awkward in retrospect, isn't it?
Why it is why I hid that from you. Not set me up to repopulate my kind.
Oh well, I wouldn't do that. Other people might. I'm just being honest.
Dorothy better not.
No. I doubt she would. I mean, she's an interesting woman, but not that interesting. Well, she can take yells as good as she can give them. Either way, you're gonna meet the rest of them.
May I ask, can we go up to our rooms? The smells here are making me a bit impatient.
Sure, just come down in about half a bell or so.
I will take my leave to calm myself.
Well,
I will
yes,
see
I
you
mean,
later.
you can draw a bath if you're so smelly.
Indeed.
It might feel better for you if you just jump in the canal outside.
I do not think the rich folk would take kindly to me doing that.
And? Do you
Guess
mind
what the-
that?
I don't mind it, but I'd rather not bring attention to myself.
And you see Marin kind of smirk and says, "Rich folk here, I wouldn't like that very much."
Oh, there.
Mm.
Oh.
Who? Asked.
All right, I'm gonna go outside too. Have fun, kids.
Fia, may I borrow you for a moment?
Sure.
Did you say that you had looked into my past with your powers?
Okay. I'll fill you in. Was I did not know I'd be working. I was asked by the elf to just quick double check. Bar. So basically, when I look someone directly in the eyes or purposely stare at them, I see your life from when you're born. Once it catches up to present day, and see your. So I don't look at people. One, I like to do that only if you ask me to. I'd rather get to. I only when I of the fifth battle or conflict, just double check any. Which is how the elf found out. Real quick and get you down. But I did not see much. I just saw and you not very. So I don't think gold filled it. But Fia back here. So I actually did not see much. Also, I try not to look anyways, because just situations like these where we work together. You don't want to have that awkward. Hey, I know about your life and nothing about me. That's my peace offering to say sorry. I not look at you unless you actually ask me to. Nobody's had to do that. How I knew my tribe. I saw everything happen through. So I survived while they died.
I wasn't going to accuse you of anything like that or ask for an apology. I was going to apologize myself if you had already dealt with something like losing all of your people at a young age. Being forced to witness the same thing again must have been horrible.
Oh well. Thank you. I've seen it so many times. Unfortunately, but I really. I'm sorry you lost your. And your everything.
Yeah, just a bit more.
But hey, here's to being the last of our kind. I think, unless there's more stragglers.
If that is true for the both of us, then at this point it's not true for either of us anymore.
I mean, I was surprised to meet Tony.
We're really not that different.
I guess so.
Usually.
Different ways of kind of similar. Don't like us, that's for sure.
No, that seems to be a common case amongst non-humans.
As you guys are talking, you guys hear you hear Calliope poke her head in and say, "Oh, look, they're here! Come on, guys. Let's go. You want to go meet them? They're a little early." As you guys step out into the porch, the lovely fountain kind of bubbling overhead, you see 7, or I guess now 5 distinct figures kind of waltzing through the street, all of them each very unique looking in their own right. You see a man who is with red hair, with a sort of like scraggly beard. He wears like a very like heavy like fur that covers his back into like a cape almost, and like these large pauldrons, and on one of his shoulders is like the face of like a lion that's sort of like sort of stuffed perhaps, and he's like he's wearing like a very tight sort of like suit of sorts, like leather, and you know this guy. I mean, the 3 of you that were captured know this guy as Leon, the man who captured you all. You see beside him, towering over him, sort of brawny, steel man with every footfall, like you hear like very pronounced movements. He's like almost like a disembodied like suit of armor almost, and like his face is like jagged, like a jagged helmet with like almost like pointed like triangles for teeth, and like in his eye sockets are just like 2 beady red gems. But he's like towering and hulking over the rest of them. And you see like a girl who you know, is wearing like a very frilly dress and like is like clutching a stuffed animal. You see this one, she has like a parasol over her back, and her name is of course Dorothy, as one might know. You see a man wearing completely noble attire, like a uniform almost. He has a very like serious expression on his face, but like he holds himself with like a very like well countenance. He has like a rapier on his belt, and you see like a single like half cloak draped over his shoulder. He has like the same platinum hair and the same birthmark as Connolly does, and you figure that this must be her brother. And last, but of course, I mean the two last ones, that you see a girl wearing like a cloak over her head, and she's wearing completely like just like baggy clothing, and she kind of sticks close to the metal figure. And then leading them all, you see a man, or perhaps not a man. It's hard to make out. There's just like this disembodied like figure, the silhouette almost of a person, and you see this sort of like creeping shadow that just sort of clings and surrounds him.
I warn you all. Lord Rash has very, very unique. Please try not to gawk. Very polite. Shadow man. He's very nice.
I care not for him. The red-haired one, Leon. That is the one
Bastard
I
is
care
here again.
about.
And as they approach, you see Calliope kind of wave out, and Marin kind of put his arms on his waist. And he says, "Ah, great! How long has it been since the band been all together, huh? For the perfect occasion, right?" And he kind of seems excited, and you see Arash say, "Yes, I think today will be a very lovely day indeed. Nice to meet you all. I'm Raisha Haig, the leader of the Black Falcon." And that is where we'll end today.
Things are getting serious.